Well, Garrett, I'll tell you, I like to give 100% in everything I do. And I like a dish soap that does that too. So alive, so young, so alluring, so exotic, so hypnotic, so manipulative, so sadistically abusive, so cartoonishly abhorrent. You see, when it comes to my skin and my sensitive parts, I only trust 100% American-made steel wool. Strong enough for a man, but whimsical and helpless enough for a woman. And don't wait. Act now. Act like your very life depends on it. Act like your children's lives depend on it. Act like the children in Africa's lives depend on it.
I watched all the old sketches from SNL, and luckily you can watch them, right? They're all on Peacock. So I did. I stuck to the very first season of SNL. That's who we were portraying, these characters from that very first episode. So I didn't want to like dive too much into later seasons, because that's not what I was portraying. That wasn't the story I was telling. Yeah, so I just watched a lot of that first season over and over and over. Yeah.
Well, speaking of not portraying later seasons, you don't really see a lot of the sketches because it's all the lead up.
It's true, you don't see a lot of the sketches. Yeah, which was kind of, I was maybe nervous about when we were filming, and there were definitely moments where the camera was moving through the set, which was really, really cool. Like in the very first time that we opened the elevator doors and we're in 8H, and the camera is just snaking through. It's a really long oneer that we do. And it was kind of up to the actors, like what we wanted to say. What did we want our characters to be doing in this first introduction? And I wanted to have some, part of a sketch in there with me. So I chose the dialogue from Victims of Shark Bite with Jane and John Belushi, because I thought that was a really funny sketch. So I just have Jane, reciting her lines while she's attached to a sewing machine. But since we don't see a lot of the sketches, it was up to us to kind of like throw in random lines where people would recognize it. So we recreated, I was a part of recreating it. They created Studio 8H on a soundstage in Atlanta, actually, because it had to be dressed, for 1975. So they had to rebuild the entire stage. And they did such a phenomenal job. I mean, it's to a T. To be fair, I haven't been to the actual Studio 8H. Exactly, I've not been there. But a lot of the other cast members got to go. If they were filming in New York, then they did get to go to a live taping, and they got to tour the halls and everything. My character didn't shoot in New York, so I wasn't there for that. But everyone said once they had been on the rebuilt stage, they said that once they went to the real 8H, they already knew their way around, because they were like, oh yeah, we've already got this mock-up in Atlanta. In real life, Jane and Garrett would sit up in the bleachers and smoke cigarettes and just talk about life. But in that scene particularly, it's such a great scene because, Garrett is struggling the whole movie not knowing what his identity is on the show. And Jane is just as lost, but she also kind of knows what she's in for, and that is to be the straight woman. She came from doing commercials. She was like a commercial queen, so, and even one of her audition pieces for SNL was doing an iron pill commercial. And there's just something about the way that Jane delivers things that's just a little bit different, and she can take something like an iron pill commercial and make it funny. So that scene where they're up in the bleachers talking is really wonderful, and there's a monologue that I have where I kind of go into like a faux commercial parody type deal, and that speech was written 2 days before we started shooting. It was not in the original script. After we did the table read, Jason Reitman came up to me and he was like, I think we need another moment for Jane. And I'm like, I'm not gonna disagree with you there. So he wrote this wonderful speech, then he and I got together and we worked it out. I would recite it and we would decide what was funny and what needed to be put where. And I think we came up with something really great, and I'm really happy with how it turned out in the film. Jane was married. She wasn't interested in staying out all night and doing a bunch of drugs like everybody else was. It just wasn't her scene. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that it did make her a bit of an outsider with the rest of the cast and with the rest of the writers as well. And because of that, you know, she had said that it was hard for her to really have her identity like seen on the show because she was not naturally a writer. And she really said that like if you wanted to be seen, then you had to write it yourself, or you had to really be like, yeah, hanging out with everybody, doing a bunch of blow and you know, staying out all night, and that's just not who she was. So really she was only on the show for 4 seasons, and then she chose to leave because not only because of that, but also the huge wave of celebrity that happened to them was so overwhelming that she just wasn't comfortable in that space. That just wasn't what she wanted.
Yeah. How did that inform your performance in this?
Honestly, it didn't.
None of that
Exactly.
happened.
None of that had happened. So while I knew that, and I have a notebook like kind of full of that stuff, it didn't really play a part in this movie. I had to choose what to pay attention to, and that was not important for this story that we were telling. A Conehead sketch would have been amazing. But more than that though, I wish that I had gotten to do something for Weekend Update. I mean, seeing that desk there and knowing that I didn't have a scene with it, because she didn't start doing Update until season 2, that was really hard. I really wanted to work in, I was like, how can I work in something with Chevy where we can show that like repartee with each other? But again, it wasn't part of the story we were telling. So I had to let that go and just take pictures at the desk by myself. Oh, I mean, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are absolute magic together on that show. To have these two brilliant, hilarious writer women hosting Update was everything. It was everything. I think that's the only time they've had like 2 female comedians hosting Update. Yeah, like they win. They win hands down over everybody. But I do love Colin Jost and Michael Che. I actually love them a lot. Yeah, they've got a great repartee with each other.
I wanted to show you, we have this like 78 TV guide.
Stop! Oh my god!
When I saw it, I was like, it looks like the poster.
I know, it does look like the poster.
This is gonna make me cry. This is really cool.
Neat, right?
So this is when Chevy was gone and Bill Murray was in.
Yeah.
Look at Jane with her shirt open. Doing the famous like flashing scene that she did. Wow. Man, these comedians were, / are, truly so iconic. And they created something so specific and unique, and Lorne really knew what he was doing, putting all of these brilliant people together. He saw all of their talents separately, and he knew what they could all be together. I mean, he really created something so incredible. I mean, Saturday Night Live was a part of my life from the time I was little. I mean, I actually don't remember, but my parents have told this story before. So, do you guys remember the Sweaty Balls sketch from the 90s? Hysterical. I mean, I watch it every Christmas. But when that first aired, I was little, me and my sister were little, and we didn't understand it. We didn't understand the sketch. And my mom always said that she was like, I had to go down the hallway and like hide behind a door because she was crying, laughing so loud. And she was like, I didn't want to explain to you little girls why the sketch was so funny. And like every time my dad would knock on my door growing up, he would say Land Shark or Candy Graham. It was just, it made its way into every household, and it like influenced so many comedians. And I filmed a lot of home movies when I was a kid, and I definitely took a page from Sherry O'Terry and did Colette Reardon is the character's name. Wow, I just pulled that out of nowhere. Colette Reardon is the character. She was a God. She was a woman who was on a lot of pills. That was kind of the gag. So when I was like 14 or so, like my best friend and I would film movies, and I would do that character a lot, or like do the Spartan cheerleaders, or Sally O'Malley. I'm 50. I can stretch and kick. I did her a lot. God, it was just a huge part of my life.
It's crazy how it does, like, lines from Saturday Night Live enter our lexicon.
Yeah.
And we just, like, don't even know what they're from sometimes.
Sometimes we don't even know what they're from.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, it's from SNL.
Yeah, it's from SNL.
Sketch that I latched onto.
Right? Yeah, that has stayed in my brain forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also say in my family, get off the damn shed! Which I don't even think they say damn. I think it's just get off the shed! But that's a Will Ferrell quote from some random 90s sketch on SNL. It's such a good one.